Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Blue Tit Diary. I hope the weekend treated you all well. Our little Blue Tit has been very busy. We are covering 2 days today, as I was editing another video yesterday, a video when I was out filming a pine marten, and I've been tracking him for a while, and I eventually got him. So if you are interested in that, go take a wee look. I got some really nice footage of him. I'll put a wee link in the top corner now. So as I mentioned, we've got a lot to go through. I know I said in this morning's update that the Blue Tit wasn't that busy yesterday, but when I actually compiled all of yesterday's footage, she was actually in for a full 35 minutes. She just had done it in a short burst, in the sense of between 8 and 11 she came in and didn't come in for the rest of the day. And that gave me the impression that she wasn't in a lot. But it turns out she was actually in for about 35 minutes, so racking up and doing all her usual business. So some of you were asking, how long does it take for Blue Tit to usually make a nest? Well, it depends on the bird, and also depends on the time of year. Some Blue Tits start off quite early and will take 1 week to build a nest, while usually they would take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. So there's no real way. Some they go in bursts. They sometimes will do a whole lot of building within 2-3 days, and then slack off for a couple of days, and then really get into it again. Now our little female has been pretty consistent, doing 20 minutes to 30 minutes a day, and the nest is coming on quite a bit. By the end of it, there's a whole lot more moss in, and it's starting to level off a little bit more, and which is nice, and it's starting to compress down just a little bit. So I have even seen Blue Tits in the past, even when starting to make a nest, will fill up with material and then proceed to start taking it all back out again, which is quite unusual behaviour. Usually it means they're contemplating between another nest, but thankfully our wee female isn't doing that this year. She has done a behaviour that I've seen a couple of times, when she picks up a piece of moss and takes it out and then brings it back in, nearly as if she's airing it out. Now I don't know if this is what she's actually doing. I don't know what this behaviour does, what's the benefit, or does it have a benefit. So if anyone out there knows, give us a shout, or if anyone has heard anything, let me know. You can see her here nearly make a holy show of the nest there. She nearly took the whole thing out with her, which was quite amusing to see. Thankfully she didn't, as that would have been discouraging for her. You can see her here actually take a wee bit of moss out and then proceed to bring it back in, and it was that behaviour that I was talking about just a little earlier. Every year, I can't help but worry at this stage. It always looks like the nest is getting on top of her, and that there's no reason or rhyme or reason to her methods. But all in all, it always turns out the way she plans, and she always knows what she's doing in the end. She was doing this behaviour where she was bringing it up to the hole and back down again, and she does it quite a few times. It nearly looks like she's overlapping and weaving the material, or even just distributing it as best as she can. So this was the last visit of the day on Sunday. She cleared off for the rest of the day when the weather changed, and she didn't come back. She wasn't back until early the following morning. So as I mentioned, she came in bright and early at 7 o'clock, which is quite early for her. She usually comes in a little later. But maybe she missed out on her few visits that she usually does during the day yesterday, and felt that she needed to get to work early. So as you can see, the sun was shining today. As I've mentioned in the past, this box gets a little bit off the morning sun, right up till around 9-10 o'clock, and then it's in the shade for the rest of the day. It's always good to face your bird boxes to northeast, as this will prevent the midday sun coming in through the front of the nesting hole and heating up the chicks, and maybe even at risking overheating them. So after that 10 to 9 visit, she actually cleared off for the rest of the day, to my surprise. She wasn't back until 6:45. Now, she's never really been in the box at this time, maybe for a short visit, but not for nest building, which is what she begins to do, which was out of character for her, and I was surprised to see it. I was actually busy compiling the footage for editing at this stage, so I had to actually go back and collect this footage. So as I mentioned, this was actually the first time that she started building in the evening, which I was happy to see. Always happy to see her in busy. And you can see the moss is starting to level off quite nicely now, and she will keep piling on top of this until this is actually the ground, and there'll be even more moss on top. And then when she has a cup with a secure soft ground, she'll start lining it with fluff. When you see that, you know the nest is nearly done. So you can see that the nesting shuffle is becoming more and more apparent now. And she always does it in the same spot. You can see that fair bit of wood there when she hops up is roughly where the nest cup is going to be. Now, I would be surprised if it was against the wood. It will probably move a little closer to the camera, and there will be moss in between it and the wood, as we wouldn't want the eggs leaning against the wood in any way. But you can see she will continue to do this until everything is compressed down and there's a nice solid base for her eggs. She actually struggles with a huge piece of moss at the nest hole there. She brings it in, and it's actually attached to a huge lump of moss. And you can see she doesn't really know what to do with it. She kind of goes up to the box and eventually puts it down and decides, feck this, I'll go somewhere else. She comes back in a little while to then reapproach it. that looks like a good spot for that. So you might remember in the last video I asked for some suggestions to name these birds, and we did get one, and it is Biddy and Miley, and it's from a TV show called Glenroe, and seemingly Biddy was a very busy character, and that's where our female blue tit has got the name Biddy, and so the male is now going to be known as Miley. So we have our names, they are Biddy and Miley. So this was Biddy's last visit of the day. You can see there was good progress in the nest made. It's starting to level off quite nicely, so she has been a pretty busy birdie. As usual, if you're enjoying the videos, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe, and thank you. We will see you again. Bye bye.